Samsung kicked off 2022 with an update to their incredibly popular S line of smartphones, including the S22 Plus, which I'll talk about briefly in this video, but the main focus is this: the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. I've been using and testing this out for over a week, and you're probably wondering if all the hype is correct about this. Is this possibly the best Android smartphone of 2022? Let me talk to you about it here on MQuan Reviews. Now, this year's S lineup updates are similar to what we've seen in the past from Samsung. This in my hands is the S22 Plus, which maintains the design language with minor tweaks. Without going into the details, what I will say is I appreciate the design and style of the S22 Plus with its form factor, 6.6-inch FHD Plus, 120Hz AMOLED display, 4,500 mAh battery, 4nm chip depending on the region, but here we're getting Snapdragon and the triple camera setup with the improved 50 megapixel main sensor that takes some improved shots, including 3x optical zoom in both normal lighting and low lighting. If you'd like a separate full review on the S22 Plus, leave a comment below. But the highlight, I feel, is in the S22 Ultra and what Samsung have done differently this year, starting with the S Pen. The S22 Ultra comes with the S Pen inbuilt, much like the Galaxy Note series. We get further improvements to the S Pen with pressure sensitivity and lower latency rates to 2.8 milliseconds. And the S Pen adds another level of productivity and enhanced controls to the otherwise standard smartphone experience. And I think many Samsung fans will be happy to see this included in this year's S lineup. Are you a fan of the S Pen? Smash that like button below if you are. As far as the design of this year's S22 Ultra, this is where some may have mixed opinions. It looks almost identical now to the previous Note series with those boxier sides and edges. It's got a lighter feel, a narrower feel, and look, it's nice in the hand, but I do feel the design of last year's S21 Ultra stood out a little more, particularly the contour cut camera design, whereas this year has that flush camera style. The finishing on the back is nice, and I did find that with prolonged one-handed use, it can get a little uncomfortable digging into the sides of the hand. Just something to be aware of. Now on the front you have an impressive 6.1-inch Edge QHD Plus dynamic AMOLED display with 120Hz refresh and 240Hz touch sampling in game mode. As expected from Samsung, the display is stunning with incredible vibrant colors and deep blacks. It's got a peak brightness of 1750 nits, which is going to help in bright sunlight conditions like here in the Middle East. There is the under the display fingerprint scanner, which works well, no major delays. My only issue with this display is the curve, and look, this is purely a personal preference, but I just prefer the flat display that the S22 Plus comes with. Now, performance this year is down to the 4nm chipset with the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1 and either an 8 or in my case 12GB of RAM. Now, as an everyday user, you're not going to necessarily notice major improvement from last year's S21 Ultra, but as far as the numbers on something like Geekbench are concerned, the S22 Ultra does get more of them. So gaming on this is very nice, with games like Call of Duty giving me max graphics and frame rate without any issues. Out of the box, you're running Android 12 and One UI 4.1, which means that software is actually refined and it just adds to the all-round snappier feel to this device. Now, the big update on the back is in the camera. We get a quad camera made up of a 12 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide, 108 megapixel f1.8, 10 megapixel f4.9 for the periscope telephoto lens, and finally a 10 megapixel f2.4 70mm telephoto lens. So Samsung have been slowly but noticeably improving the way that they process images, and this year I feel they are much more vibrant and sharper with less of that distortion from that main lens. This year, the perfection around the edges is also noticeable, particularly in portrait and around hair. There's also good consistency in color and just the overall look across the different multiple focal lengths. And there's also that impressive 100x zoom with just more details and quality at those maximum zoomed in shots. Though I still feel 100x still feels like a feature most of us might only use a few times. Now, nightography was a big focus at the announcement for the S22, and honestly, low light photos and videos perform really well. There's lots of details and there are some examples, as you can tell here. It feels like Samsung have been updating the nightography consistently, and that's helping them excel in this area. And honestly, I feel like other brands do need to take note. Right guys, here is a quick look of video. So this is currently being filmed in 4K 30 frames per second. However, this will film in 8K 24 frames per second. Now, currently I'm filming without steady mode, but this is what it's like with steady mode turned on. Obviously it crops it in a little, but you are getting much smoother video overall. Now, as far as zoom is concerned, in video, this will go all the way up to 10x, but even further at 20x zoom, which is pretty incredible. Let me know what you think of the overall quality of the video, but also the audio in the comments down below. Okay, so here is a quick test using the front-facing selfie camera. It's a 40 megapixel f2.2, and this will record up to 60 frames per second. So 4K 60 frames per second. I'm currently shooting in 30 frames per second. But let me know what you think of the quality overall, stabilization, and though I'm wearing a mask, also what you think of the audio as well. Now, when it comes to battery performance, it's been okay for me. You do get a 5000 milliamp hour battery with 45 watt fast charging, but as before, it doesn't come included in the box, so something to be aware of there. You do get wireless charging up to 15 watt and also reverse wireless charging as well. Now, today, battery held up pretty decently. I mean, for me, I use my phone intensively, and with a week plus long testing, I was able to get around 7.5 to 8 hours on average based on my use, which is still impressive. And I think you'll get more with a few of those tweaks in the battery options throughout the software. Now, when it comes to whether or not the S22 Ultra is worth the 4,000 to 5,000 dirham price, well, you're getting the best of Samsung, and there's no doubt about that. The incredible display, the form factor, now with the S Pen, and the comprehensive camera setup the S line is famous for. Samsung have been smart, I feel, to actually merge the Note series with the requirements typical from the higher end S series user for this year's S22 Ultra. Now look, should you upgrade from last year's S21 Ultra? I'd say no, save your money this year. But if you appreciate this form factor and are coming from an older device or another Android manufacturer and want the benefits of the Samsung ecosystem, then I do feel this year's S22 Ultra is definitely worth considering. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that subscribe button and check out this other video here. I'll see you there. Mquan over and out. Peace and blessings.